Hey, what's going on, guys? I am Logan with Match Grade Machine.
I'm Dylan.
Dylan is the COO of Match Grade Machine, and today we're going to be talking about why we don't offer certain cartridges for the Thompson Center Encore or Contender. So, Dylan, why don't you run us through a little bit of why we don't offer just every Super Magnum available for these rifles?
Okay. It's pretty simple. The number one thing I have in mind is you guys as the customers. So whether it's your safety, your product satisfaction, just overall experience at Match Grade Machine, I don't want you to have any kind of doubt in us as a barrel maker or in the cartridge itself because of the platform. One common thing with the cartridges is, well, I can have this cartridge, it's the same PSI. How come I can't have this one?
Yeah.
We're going to cover that topic, and then we're going to cover some signs to look for on tired brass if people aren't really experienced with that, and then also what makes the Encore different from bolt guns.
Exactly. So right here we have a cartridge that actually does work. So what's the difference between this cartridge, whether it's fired in a bolt gun or in an Encore?
Okay, so just measuring with the Hornady OJAB comparator on just a basic set of calipers, you can take a virgin piece of brass and just get a datum, whichever size you use, doesn't matter, and then go shoot it in a bolt gun. And conveniently, we can build a pre-fit and an Encore, and we can measure the headspace difference between the three different cases. So on the virgin brass, we set it to 0. On a bolt gun fired Creedmoor, 6.5 Creedmoor, it was a 2 thousandths difference.
Okay.
And then the Encore, it was 6 thousandths. So we had a 4 thousandths growth with the same reamer and same measured headspace before we started. And you can just see just right there on a Creedmoor, which pushes the boundary, the limit of the Encore at 65,000 PSI. But the frame just still stretched. It still flexed enough to have more growth than a bolt gun that has literal lugs that don't move on a bolt.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference is when you fire a Magnum, you do the same exact test, where I had 2 thousandths headspace growth, I had 11 thousandths on the 300 PRC. So this case is basically the reason we're doing this video, because we haven't even announced that we're not doing the 300 PRC yet.
Okay, so officially, as Match Grade Machine, we are not going to be offering a 300 PRC, and that's what we're trying to explain to you is why we're not offering that. And ultimately, it's because the safety, like you mentioned, as well as the customer experience. We don't want you guys to be unhappy with your rifles, and if you're going to be reloading for the cartridge, we found that it had an unacceptable amount of times you could reload it before case failure. And so that's what we're going to get into right now.
Exactly. So this case, it's going to be pretty controversial because you shoot similar velocities to the 300 Win Mag, which is known to not be very problematic on the Encore. We've built tons of them, no issues. I mean, brass life is acceptable. People understand Magnums don't last as long as PPCs, and that's just how it is. Except the 300 PRC only lasted 2 reloads.
And these are warm reloads, but compared to factory ammunition, where did they end up on our reloads compared to the factory ammo?
So we chronographed the actual Hornady loaded factory ammo, and we were 45 feet per second faster than the advertised velocity.
Okay.
So we reloaded at 25 feet per second below the advertised velocity. So it's a decent spread difference, but it still only lasts 2 firings. And that load was a grain less than the max load on Hornady's website.
Okay.
The first case we did, we went right to max, because that's what we're trying to do, is just see how much stress we can put on this case. And it almost split first firing.
Okay.
That was a huge red flag for us. So we did it again. We started with a new round, probably one of these, and we loaded it a grain under. We shot it. It had tremendous growth again from the base to the actual datum on the shoulder compared to the virgin brass. It was 11.5 thousandths again. Resized it down appropriately so it fit in the chamber, shot it again, and then we almost split it entirely around the base of the case.
Yeah, this case right here actually has a crack just above the head of the brass, right near the bottom. and that's the web of the case. And it's actually starting to separate because it's growing so much. It's thinning out the brass, and it's putting a lot of stress right in that area, and that's where you'll see your case failure, is right down there at the bottom.
And this is the exact sign of pressure and fatigue, I guess, on your receiver and barrel that we see with the 7 SCW, the 257 Weatherby, the whole Weatherby Magnum family actually, and the short Magnums, anything else that we made in the past that we were making until 2016 when I took over management. And that's when I just said, look, we have complaints. I don't want complaints. Let's just eliminate these cartridges. And it's been a lot smoother ever since. Because it just circles back to what we were talking about earlier.
It's just coming back to us trying to create the greatest product available for you guys. And also, we don't want to put you guys in danger, which is why we went up to the max listed load right out of the gate. It's because we figured some people may do that, a lot of people, and we wanted to see where you guys were going to go with it and see if it could handle it. It could not, so we're not going to offer that. And the other calibers listed as well. So the large Magnums, the Weatherby Magnums, that's why we're not doing this.
Yep. And to go back on that, to bring in more information on that, a huge question we're asked is, do we offer the 338 Lapua? Why can't you make it? It's less max SAMI pressure than a 2250 or a 270 Winchester. Well, it's not the PSI is the only factor that we bring into this when we try to decide what's safe, what's not. Obviously, TC's never offered it, so we have to do our due diligence on things like that. But what also comes into play is the case diameter itself. On the Encore, you have your scope base, unfortunately, drilled right onto your chamber.
Okay.
So we're only a 1-inch diameter on the Encore that you can turn it even smaller. And then you have these Magnums and Ultra Magnums and Lapua Magnums. They just get bigger and bigger, and you're closer to these holes. And also, we have 2 wells going on the side that crystallizes the steel and weakens it. It's just a more vulnerable platform than like a Savage small shank or even any other bolt gun.
Exactly. So there are holes drilled into your scope base right on top of your chamber, which creates a really thin portion of steel, and that's got to hold back a lot of pressure, especially on a thin piece of steel that's already been under stress from having been welded and whatnot as well.
Correct.
Well, guys, that's our answer to your questions that we've been getting. Hopefully this was informational and educational as well. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, as well as our new YouTube channel. So give us a subscribe while you're over there. And we really appreciate you guys watching, and we hope to bring you more of the best that we can offer. So thanks for taking some time, Dylan. I greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Thank you. Peace.